Welcome to 3D Learning. My name is Professor Paul R. Friesen, and today's topic is art. But not just any art. It's Nazi art. Nazis stole a lot of art treasures from rich people when they invaded France and Europe. Whose art is it? Now that it was stolen, it's been resold. Can the original children of the original owner claim this art as theirs? Now it's worth very money. So that's the question. The debate will be focused on that kind of art. All rights for the original story go to the author and original publisher. It's very important because they wrote it and they published it and they have the first rights. The following is a rewrite of an article, and that's what I did. I rewrote and kept a few words, and I kept the idea, but I rewrote it for this booklet. There's no guarantee the article is maintained on the page because that's the owner's right to remove it from the internet or to change things in the story. So the original URL is located inside this series and in the book itself. D is for discovery. The first D, discovery. Second, discussion. 3, debate. That's why it's called 3D learning. And this section discovers what is known and what information needs to be expanded. So what do you know? That's the discovery. You're discovering new ideas. So the discussion at the beginning of this study will be to think about critically, what do I know? Maybe I know nothing, and that's great. Then we have building a large umbrella. If you have an umbrella like this, what value is there to umbrella like this? It's just, if it rains, it doesn't protect anything. So we want to open the umbrella of information. We want to expand it, push our ideas, and so that we have this umbrella of information that has a lot more information underneath it to cover the topic and allows the door of critical thinking to open and the size to enlarge. I have a large umbrella and it has no value this way. But as the more I go this way, I'm a big guy, and so I need a bigger umbrella. And it broadens my information and it allows deeper development of those topics. And that's what we want to do in this series. Developing an argument requires a focus of information. So we have lots of information in our umbrella and we want to focus it into categories. And then we want to make an argument for and against. So to focus the information, to base the initial statement, just one statement about everything you want to talk about, on yet broad enough to push the idea into current thought and culture. So we want to expand our information so that everything we can talk about in our culture or outside our culture, everything is there. And then we want to bring it down into a statement, only one statement, and big enough so that we can have a little argument. That's what we want to do today. The discovery phase requires students to present what they know. What do you know about this topic of Nazi art? And with a guide, your teacher, and the book, the story, this discovery is expanded to include a broader range of ideas. And so you're going to be asked to not only think, but think bigger, outside, randomly. And then the initial discussion will be used later as building blocks for exploration and reference. So you're going to build all this information. That's what you want to do. Get that thing. And then we're going to take some pieces and we're going to start building blocks to go to outside references, more stories, more things to back up your argument. Building blocks come from ideas guaranteed from discovery, or generated from discovery, sorry. And so you discover, you talk about, you think about, there's no right or wrong. It's just discovering new ideas. Talk about it with your team, with your classmates, with your teacher, and then teams will use these blocks of information to tie your defense of the argument together. So this is the information, and you want to take all that information and say which fits my argument and which goes against my argument. There are only two sides here, for and against. And all that information in that umbrella fits into those two. Students require attentiveness to take notes at every stage of preparation. Taking notes is important. And so you should have a little notebook. If you don't have a notebook, you should have some paper. And put it in your notebook. Take notes. What your team says, different arguments, keep track of it. You are not always with your friends. You have to sleep. You have to go out. You have different things to do. And so you need those ideas together, so when you start thinking about it and you start writing, you can reference them and say, oh, this person said this, which is really good for my argument. You know, there is nothing new under the sun. And so we start wanting to talk about, take notes from other people. They have information. You take it, put it down in your notebook, and then you put it into your categories, into your ideas, and then you have the discussion about how to form this argument and who is going to take that piece. Because later, you're going to have a piece of an argument, and you want information to back it up. Okay? So that's why you take notes. Take notes everywhere. And they're constantly reviewed and challenged. Somebody will challenge. We want you to challenge other people in your team or in your group of students in your class. Challenge them. But if you don't have notes, you don't know who said what, and you don't know if it's correct. So then you can challenge and you can correct it, you can change it, you can form your own argument. That's the idea of where we start. The team, consisting of several people, maybe 5, maybe 4, maybe 10, builds blocks of information to be tied to other information for both defense and rebuttal. And rebuttal is opposite to defense. So you're going to say, this is true. This is why this argument is true. And the other person, the other team, is going to say, that's not correct. The correct interpretation or the correct view of this information is this. That's rebuttal. It is imperative to not note there is never too much information. There is never too much information. Write in your notebook, always. When you are together with your team or with your friends, and when you're sitting by yourself and you're thinking, write down everything, because everything has value. The challenge, however, is to keep this large amount of information organized so you can quickly access it. Many people have notes, but when did we say that? Who said that? In my notes, I can't find it. Maybe I didn't look back far enough. Always take notes and categorize them. So you have to do that, and we will do that in this discovery and discussion. Reading titles for information is where we start. Speeds research and allowing specific information to be found quickly and stored in a file folder. Go to the internet, find stories. The title will tell you if it's important or not. You don't have to read the whole story. And then if you can copy it or paste it or copy the URL and you put it in a file folder on your computer or on your phone, and then it's always there to go back. But you don't have to read everything first. You just have to read the title to find some research information. Discovery is where the mass of ideas is finished, flushed out, and discussed without barriers, requiring strong brainstorming skills. Flushing out is you read the title, and then you find some little information, boom, you highlight it, and go to the next one. You flush it out. Not flush down, that's flush down the toilet. No, flush out. You should bring it out. So this article is like very long, maybe 2-3 pages. You want 1 or 2 sentences from there to highlight your point. That's flushing out. So you have to bring it out. So you have to learn to read faster, and you have to store it somewhere so you can always go back and find it again. Store it in a little file folder on your computer or your phone. Brainstorming, we all know brainstorming. And it is at this point the foundation is made to support the statement. We haven't made a statement yet, and you haven't read the story yet, but you're going to. And then you're going to make a statement, and maybe the statement will change, and you're going to do it with your team. Everybody's going to have a statement that they want to make, and so they say, okay, we want one core statement, and we're going to build our arguments for or against from that core statement. Everybody for or against will have the same statement. So it takes a little bit of time, and that's what we do from this PowerPoint. In this book, in the booklet, you will find the initial story provides the base point. That's the beginning story. Not all the story, but the beginning story. In other arguments, the statement may come first. This would assume an initial level of critical thinking. So if you make the statement from something you already know a lot about and your team knows a lot about then you don't need to do a lot of story reading. But you need the statement first, and you have to hammer that out. So that's where many people start. But because you may not know much about the story, you have to read the story and develop your statement from your argument. How are we going to argue the story? Skills developed and used in the discovery phase are note-taking, question asking, critical thinking, reading, and speaking. Those are what you want to do in this first section. Remember, there are 3 sections: discovery, discussion, and debate. So in the beginning, you want to do note-taking and question asking. Later, you'll be reading and speaking and critical thinking. But every piece has a little bit of everything. So don't forget. Well, that's our short little introduction today. Video 2 will start with the real discovery. It's going to ask a lot of questions. So, the story is the whetstone for development, and we have to move forward. Go to video 2 and look in your book for the next section. It will say video 1 ended, video 2 begins. Okay? Thank you very much. Video 2, go to it.